Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Nuclear Heat. This is going to be a very special edition of Nuclear Heat. This is going to be the deconstructing and the reconstructing of Kevin Owens, according to Vince Russo. But before I get to that, there's a few things that I want to say. First of all, I understand fully that there are two types of people that are going to be watching this podcast. The first type of people are true, honest to goodness wrestling fans who love the wrestling business, want to learn and know and understand every aspect of the wrestling business. And where can you get that kind of knowledge and inside information from? Well, obviously, somebody who made their career, in the wrestling business since 1991. Especially when it comes to talking about creative, talking about a storyline, or talking about a character development. Where else are you going to get any inside information or any analysis better than somebody who's been there and done that? Now, I say that for a reason. I love baseball. I love Major League Baseball. I've been a Major League Baseball fan literally since 1969, growing up in New York with the amazing Mets. The Mets won the World Series. I remember it vividly. I wasn't even a Met fan, but I remember going through all that. So from 1969, baseball has been a huge part of my life. I'm consumed with baseball. Even in the off season, we just had the winter meetings last week in Nashville. Now there's a lot of trades going on, a lot of free agents. I'm living on MLB TV. Now let me tell you who's on MLB TV. People who used to be involved in the game. Professionals who used to be involved in the game, players who used to be involved in the game, coaches who used to be involved in the game, managers who used to be involved in the game, broadcasters, writers, you name it. Authorities of the game make up the staff of Major League Baseball. There's a couple of them that I talked to. I was just one of the greatest personalities in the history of the game. I was just DMing with him the other day. Sean Casey, the chairman of the board, used to play for the Cincinnati Reds. Great ball player. I met him when I worked at Impact. He's an analyst at MLB, baseball. He's been retired for years now. Harold Reynolds, an all-star second baseman. I love him. I love listening to every word he has to say. John Smoltz is on there. Billy Ripken is on there. Eric Burns is on there. Former players. Then they also have owners, former owners, former GMs. So anybody that was ever a part of the game is on 24 hours a day giving their insights into today's game. That's what I like to bring to the table when that comes to professional wrestling. That's what I like to share with everybody. My opinions, but my opinions are based on experience. With that, there's a second group that are going to watch the show. Those are the group that call me irrelevant. Think about that for a second. In professional sports, whether it be baseball, basketball, hockey, football, the commentators, the analysts, the people talking about today's current scene all used to be involved in the game. They're not anymore. NBA, I could listen to Charles Barkley talk till the cows come home. Is Charles Barkley irrelevant because he doesn't play basketball anymore? Is John Smoltz irrelevant because he doesn't pitch for the Braves anymore? You can go up and down the list. Ex-managers, are on that network. So when the term irrelevant is thrown at me, that's being thrown at me by people that hate me. Where does the hate come from? The hate comes from two places. Number one, if you still believe my character from WCW 15 years ago and you still hate that character and think that character is me, you are going to hate me. And, quite frankly, I did an amazing job if you still hate me from that. Number two, you are going to hate me because you disagree with my opinion and you disagree with what I'm saying. I sit there all day and I watch MLB TV, and there are many times I disagree with some of what some of the people are saying. There's a guy on there now, I can't think of his first name, but his last name is King. He's into all the numbers game and the metrics and the this and the that and all these things. I don't agree with that at all, but I listen to him because it's a different approach. I like to hear what he has to say, but I do not agree with him. Do I call him irrelevant? No. Do I insult him? No. Do I, personally attack him? No. Why? Because I love baseball and I want to learn every aspect of the game that I love. And where you're going to get the best information from is people that have been there and people that have done that. Whether you like me or hate me, I've been there and done that. So for those of you that understand that and respect that and want to truly understand my comments about Kevin Owens on Jim Ross's podcast, here it is. This show's for you. For those that want to hate me, and no matter what I say here, you're going to hate me, just get a notepad so you can take down notes of all the things you disagree with me. Then you can go on my Twitter line or whatever you have to do later and tell me I'm irrelevant and knock yourself out. Okay, first and foremost, I want to say this. Somebody actually said to me on my Twitter yesterday, I owe Kevin Owens or Steen, whatever you want to call him, I owe him an apology. Okay. My answer to that is I owe nobody an apology. And I'm not going to make an apology unless an apology is necessary. Now, the statements I've made have been blown completely out of whack. I could just tell by reading my Twitter, people saying I said things I never even said. And all I say to them is send me the audio tape of me saying that. Please send me the piece of that tape of me saying that because I never said it. What I said when JR asked me the question is, when casual wrestling fans sit down and watch a Raw and they're not familiar with the internet wrestling community, they're not familiar with the indies, they're not familiar with NXT, all they know is the WWE. When Kevin Owens Steen walks out, people that don't know him, one of their first knee-jerk reactions could be, who's that fat guy? That's what I say. Now, let me tell you why I've said that. Because I've been with people that have said that. I've been with people that have watched the show with me and they've seen Kevin Owens and they're not familiar with his indie work or NXT or any of that stuff. And that was their first impression of Kevin Owens. That is a shoot. That is the truth. That has happened. And since then, I've had many people reply to me on Twitter and whatnot that other people have said the same thing to them as well. Okay, so that happened. That is an experience that happened. First impression of Kevin Owens. That's what it could be and has been to some people that don't know him. Keep in mind first impression because we're going to get back to that. So in saying that, I never called Kevin Owens fat. I never say Kevin Owens was fat. I said when people see him come out for the first time and they're casual wrestling fans who watch the WWE here and then, some people have described him first impression as, who is that fat guy? So basically what that's telling you is that is the first thing that people see. Well, why are they seeing that? Because Kevin's weight and Kevin's appearance does not play into his character. It's not part of his character. His character isn't one of, I'm a couch potato. I eat what I want. I don't exercise. I don't work out. And then I just come to the ring and wrestle. That's not his character. That's not the way he was portrayed to us. So right now, what we're seeing is a wrestler that is coming out that looks and appears to be out of shape. That is a fact. I'm not going to apologize for that. Now, here's where I want to get into my job and break this down for you. How things worked with me creatively, I can't speak for now. I don't know how things work at the WWE now. So I'm going to be an analyst like Harold Reynolds or Billy Ripken or Sean Casey or Eric Burns, and I'm going to give you my experiences of this is how I dealt with it. We had a developmental system in the WWE. When guys were ready, somebody from talent relations, whether it's a Jim, usually Jim Ross, would come to me and say, Vince, so-and-so is ready. They're ready to come up to the WWE. At that point, they had no character. They had nothing. That's where I came in. What I did was I would sit down with this individual and start having a discussion with them to try to pull out something that was unique about them, that was different about them, and that was real to them. Because what makes a successful character is you take their true personality and their true identity and you magnify it a million times over, okay? You ask why? It's real simple. These guys and gals are not trained actors and actresses. So if you ask them to go out and play a part that is not them, there is a very good chance of them failing because they're not actors and they're not actresses. They're wrestling. They're wrestlers. And keep in mind, the idea is to make the audience believe that they're the character they are trying to portray. So it's much easier to do that when there is a string of reality involved in who this person is. I can remember some examples, and I'll give you a couple now. I can remember sitting down with Adam Copeland for the very first time, and Adam Copeland had the long hair, handsome, beautiful looks, cool, hip. He was a guy that I knew all kids would want to be. So basically, that's how we first introduced Edge. Very mysterious, very quiet, but cool. And you wanted to be him. The vignettes were cool. He was introduced by vignettes. And then, slowly but surely, Adam's personality would come out to the point that he got to in the WWE. Christian is another one that came to mind. The first time I saw Christian, we had Adam. They were friends. The vampire thing was always cool and always over. We had Gangrel. Let's put this brood together. Let's give them a really cool entrance. That's what we did with Christian when he first broke into the WWE. One of the stories I love telling is Sean Morley, Val Venus. And here's why. When I sat down with Sean Morley, let me say this. He was 100 times smarter than I was, and I will ever be. And he loved politics. His whole life was politics, politics, politics. He could talk to you all day about politics. Now, there was a problem with that. I know nothing about politics. I don't want to know about politics. It's not in my range. I don't vote. I don't watch debates. I don't care. So I knew that I could not write for Sean Morley as some kind of a political character. I would not be able to give him material. That was not my strength. So now I was really in trouble because that was the first thing that came out. So I continued to talk to Sean and talk to Sean and talk to Sean. And finally, I just sat there one day and I said, God, this guy he just looks like a sleazeball. Like if I was looking at him for the first time, he just looks very sleazy. Boom. That's when the idea of a porn star came into my mind. Val Venus. We did the vignettes. We worked together. The first time Sean ever came out through that curtain, that was the biggest pop I ever heard for a new star. Everybody knew how Val Venus was before he even appeared on television. I was there that night. I remember vividly. So that's how the background works. The wrestler's ready. He's ready to go. The writer, creative, whoever it is, sits down, gets with them. What's the character going to be? Okay. Are you with me? Here's the issue with Kevin Owens. And let me first state this. I don't know Kevin Owens. I've never met Kevin Owens. How I personally feel about the guy has nothing to do with this business end of it and his character. What I do know about the guy is I've seen he's got a beautiful family. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a 10-year-old son. I know that because he's always putting his son over. So that tells me he's a family man. He's a nice guy. I know that he had a extensive history in the indies, somewhere about 15 years. The only way I know that is he mentioned that in NXT. I heard that in NXT. Then I did some research on him, and I saw he's been in the indie circuit for a long time. This is the extent of what I know about Kevin Owens as a human being and as a person. And like I said, first and foremost, him and his wife being in his Twitter picture, the talk about his son Owen. I even know Owen just had a birthday. That tells me family first. The guy's a hard worker. He's a blue collar guy. Those are a lot of traits I like about anybody. So let's please separate the personal from the professional. When I said, Kevin Owens should get in better shape and Kevin Owens needs to work out more, I said that based on a couple of things. Number one, based on the presentation of his character this far. Being a little overweight, being out of shape is not part of his character. That's not part of the storyline. So knowing Vince McMahon and knowing how Vince works and knowing what Vince looks for, it would, in my opinion, benefit Kevin Steen to get in better shape if being a little overweight is not going to be part of his character. Okay? That's what I was trying to say before we turn this into a whirlwind. Okay, now, here's the thing. This is the test you need to do all the time. First impression. That is the most important thing. And listen, I'm talking casual viewers here. I'm not talking the internet community that can tell you what every single indie federation they worked for and when they worked in Japan and when they worked for Ring of Honor. The average person at home doesn't know that or care about that. I'm talking about the mass television sitting at home that watches TV every day. First impression. Here's the test to know if somebody has a character or not. The minute their music plays and they come out and you physically see them and you see the way they walk to the ring, you should know immediately, if you're a casual fan, who is that guy. When Kevin Owens walks out, we don't know who that guy is. That's why I made the comment to a television viewer. Their first knee-jerk reaction might be, and has been, I know of some, who is this fat guy? because when he comes down, the way he is dressed, the way he presents himself, you don't know immediately who this guy is. He doesn't look like somebody special. He doesn't look like a star. That has to do with the character that has been put on him. Now, when Brock Lesnar comes out, the first word I think about is, okay, beast. Kurt Angle comes out. Okay, the guy's wearing an Olympic gold medal. He's all red, white, and blue. The flags are waving, on the Titantron. We get who Kurt Angle is. John Cena, when he comes out, we know who he is. He's a regular guy. He's an all-American guy. Gets into a little street cred. We know who this guy is. Has the ball cap on. Has the little towel. Never give up. We know who this guy is. So as soon as the guy walks out, the test is, do we immediately know who that character is? Now, let me go over some of the comparisons that have been made to me in the last 2 days as it relates to Kevin Owens, because, everybody immediately jumped all over me and said, well, what about all these other guys that were overweight, Vince? What about all these other guys that got over? Let me explain that. Great question. What about them? Well, the first thing we know about them is the minute they came through that curtain and the music hit and they were on their way to the ring, we knew what their character was. Yokozuna, 500-pound Samoan sumo wrestler, maybe? Is that what Yoko looked like? What was the first thing we thought about when we saw Yokozuna? Sumo wrestler. He's from Japan. Okay, we got it. Mick Foley. You see Mick Foley, you see a freak of nature. Who looks like Mick Foley? Mick Foley has a different look. He looks like a star. His body is freaky. The long hair, the beard, the missing teeth. Is Mick Foley going to turn your head if you're at the mall? Yes, he is. Why? Because he looks like a freak and he's different. Is Kevin Owens going to turn your head at a mall? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. This is what I'm trying to make you understand. I don't want to forget anybody else. Oh, Dusty Rhodes. Okay? Here comes Dusty. Okay? Now, the Dusty character was, first of all, he would come down that ramp, colorful, shucking and jiving, the whole 9 yards, oozing freaking personality. He was every man. He was the common man, and he liked to have fun, and he danced, and he jived, and he shucked, and everybody loved the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Everybody loved him. Here's another one. People say to me, Vince, Bray Wyatt is overweight. Why aren't you picking on Bray Wyatt? Real simple. Because Bray Wyatt isn't depending on his wrestling skill in order to get over. Wyatt comes out. They hit the music. The bugs, the lightning bugs, whatever the heck they're called. He's got the little lantern. He's got his family with him. Okay, this is Deliverance. I've seen this all before in Deliverance. These guys live in the backwoods someplace. God knows what they're doing. They all look like hillbillies. They're all playing the part. So on view, I know who Bray Wyatt is. I'm forgetting he's a wrestler. I'm looking at I'm forgetting Dusty's a wrestler. I'm forgetting Yoko's a wrestler. I'm forgetting Mick's a wrestler. The first presentation, I know who these people are. Okay? Now, step 2. The minute they open their mouths, they make it clear to you who they are. Dusty tells you he's the common guy. Dusty tells you I'm the son of a plumber. Dusty tells you I'm one of the people. I'm here to fight the fight. You're going to have to kill me to knock me out, and I'm going to entertain you, okay? Mick Foley tells you in his promos that you will have to break his body and kill him because there's nothing that he won't do. He will go through brick walls. I will jump off of cages. I'm a little demented. I'm not playing with a full deck. You have no idea what I'm capable of. And oh, by the way, I'm a lot more intelligent than you are. You get all that the minute Mick Foley opens his mouth. Yokozuna obviously didn't talk. That was part of his character. Bray Wyatt, when Bray Wyatt opens his mouth, he doesn't make it clear to you who he is. He's a hillbilly, lives in the back mountains, has a family, a little David Koresh. He's evil. He loves horror. He loves the dark side. All this is apparent the minute he opens his mouth. So you know you have a good character, and you know that your audience understands the character when, number one, the very first impression, when they come through that curtain. Who is this guy? Who was Shawn Michaels? Who was Steve Austin? Who was The Rock? As soon as they came out, you knew the character. Number two, as soon as they opened up their mouth, they backed up who they were. Shut your mouth and know your role. Austin 3:16 says, I just whooped your ass. You knew who they were. The way they looked, the presentation. Once they opened their mouth, the personality. You knew who they were. Here's the Kevin Owens problem in a nutshell. And again, let me say this. Kevin Owens is following orders. He is doing what he's being told to do. Now, if he doesn't agree with this and doesn't say anything about it, do I blame fault on him? Yes, I do, as I would any other wrestler, because I've said it before. If you want to get to that next level, there comes a point where you got to take your balls in your hand. If you're in the WWE just to have a job and just to make a paycheck and pay your family and be safe, keep your mouth shut. If you want to become a millionaire, if you want to become a household name, if you want people to remember you years and years and years and years after you're gone, then there comes a point you got to take your balls in your hand and you got to speak up. It's that simple. You make that decision. I said this last time. There were many times I could have been fired at the WWE. Many times. I had the confidence in myself that I would be able to get a job somewhere else. Okay, so now let me get into this, and I have some notes. Kevin Owens walks out that curtain. Who is Kevin Owens? When we first see Kevin Owens, who is he? Is he a sumo wrestler? Is he a freak? Oh, another one I forgot, Vader. Vader was a monster. You know, he had the mask. He came tumbling down the lane. It's Vader time. Vader was a monster. We got it. Here comes Kevin Owens. If I'm a casual fan at home, I know nothing about his background, where he's been or what he's done. Who is this guy? Now, somebody brought up on my Twitter feed just today that, okay, Vince Russo, everything you say is bullshit. You don't back anything up with fact. Okay, let me hit you with some facts, because the last 24 hours on Twitter, Kevin Owens' own fans have told me who he is. This is who they say Kevin Owens is. I'm going to go through the list. There are three things that they'll all tell you he is. Number one, he's a badass. Number two, he's a bully. And number 3, he's a prize fighter. Okay, so right there we have a problem. His own fans are giving us 3 different descriptions of who this man is. If his own fans don't know who Kevin Owens is, how is the casual fan at home that has never seen him before going to possibly know who he is? Now, let's go through the list. Badass, bully, prize fighter. Badass. Okay. 2 weeks ago, I watched as Kevin Owens stood in the middle of the ring, got a Coke thrown in his face and popcorn thrown in his face by Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose calmly walked away, and there were no ramifications whatsoever. Is that a badass? Is that what a badass is? I'm going to tell you, listen, go back, rent a movie that is before your time that you probably never heard of. It's called Billy Jack. You want to know what a badass is? Go watch any Billy Jack movie. You want to know what a badass is? Go watch Clint Eastwood. You want to know what a badass is? Go watch Charles Bronson. You want to know who a badass is? XJR. Go watch John Wayne. You want to know who a badass is? Go watch Arnold in Terminator. You want to know who a badass is? Go watch Ronda Rousey. You want to know who a badass is? Go watch Mike Tyson fights. All those people I just mentioned, if you would have thrown a Coke and a popcorn in their face, what would have happened? Okay, so with that being said, I think we can all agree to take badass off the list because he has not been portrayed as a badass. Take that off the list. Bully, number 2, bully. Well, my understanding of a bully is somebody that picks on people not his own size, people that is smaller than him, people that are weaker than him, people that he could take advantage of, people that he could get over on. That's a bully. Kevin Owens out the chute went after John Cena. So now we can take bully off the list. If you're a bully, you're not going to confront the toughest kid in the schoolyard. You're going to confront, in his case, Hornswoggle, one of the Lucha Dragons. He's not going to confront John Cena if he's a bully. Let's take bully off. Okay, number 3. This is JBL's favorite. And Kevin Owens is a prize fighter. Yeah, that's it. That's a prize fighter. Yeah, Michael, Kevin Owens is a prize fighter. What on earth has Kevin Owens done in his character that he's a prize fighter? Jake LaMotta was a prize fighter. Sugar Ray Leonard was a prize fighter. Roberto Duran was a prize fighter. A prize fighter is a boxer that usually shucks, jabs, moves, knows the mastery of boxing. That is a prize fighter. Now, if that were the joke, that this is a heavy set guy, an overweight guy that calls himself a prize fighter, that's something completely different. But that's not what they're doing here. JBL is saying, Michael, and Kevin Owens is a prize fighter. Okay, so I don't even know where they get prize fighter from. So let's take that off the list. So we've established he's not a badass, he's not a bully, and he's not a prize fighter. So what is he? What is he? Well, You like, the internet wrestling community, they like to call him a great worker. Well, no casual fan at home is going to be sitting there saying, once his music hits, hey, Estelle, here comes a great worker. Look at this guy. He's a great worker. Nobody is going to be saying that as a casual wrestling fan. Work is last for a casual wrestling fan. They want the appearance and the show. They want the promo. They want the story. They want the entertainment. And then after all that, let's have the match. And here's the problem. In the ring, who is Kevin Owens? Who is he in the ring? I had a conversation with Disco Inferno yesterday, who I respect greatly. Do me and Glenn always agree? Absolutely not. I know Glenn's feelings towards Kevin Owens are much the same as mine, but Glenn said something very interesting to me yesterday. He said, Vince, Kevin Owens throws the best punch in the business. He technically throws the best punch in the business. But the problem is he throws the best punch in the business. He shows he could be like a good brawler, a good barroom brawler. But then what happens? Then he's combining that with doing high-risk maneuvers that Rey Mysterio does. So now we got a question of, is this guy a brawler? Is this guy a high flyer? What kind of a worker is he? So what this all adds up to is, when you have all these questions and there are no defined answers, and Kevin Owens does not have a clear-cut character, being overweight is going to hurt him. Because if you don't understand the character and you don't understand who he is, what you're going to see is a guy that appears to be out of shape. Is there anybody that does not understand that? Please raise your hand if you don't understand that. As a casual wrestling fan, like I said, no casual wrestling fan knows Kevin Steen's track record in Japan or cares about it. So now you say, okay, Vince, put your money where your mouth is. What would you do with Kevin Owens? Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. I told you, first and foremost, he cut a promo of NXT talking about that 15-year history in the Indies. And the long car rides, working in front of 20 people, the whole 9 yards. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've not heard that story repeated since he's come to the WWE. Now, if Kevin Owens starts repeating that story, what that's telling me about Kevin Owens is, I'm not going back. I am not going back. I went through the bullshit. 15 years of the indie circuit, driving town to town for 5 hours, no sleep, no money, sleeping in my car, playing in front of 20 people, always being away from home, not making any money. I ain't going back. No matter what, I'm not going back. And if that means killing everybody in front of me and doing whatever I have to do, by God, I'm going to do it. I'm not going back. That's never been said. That's never been portrayed. Now, when I look at Kevin Owens, what do I see? You want to sell to me Kevin Owens as a Dick Murdoch? Kevin Owens, who has the best punch in the business. And you know what? Maybe if you got a drink or two in him and you ran into him in a bar or outside a bar, he could beat the living shit out of you. And in the ring, he could brawl and he could beat you up and he can hurt you because he is a tough guy. Can I buy that, Kevin Owens? Yeah, I could buy that, Kevin Owens. I look at Kevin Owens, I know he can kick my ass. He does have a look about him as a badass. I would hate to see him with a beer or a whiskey in him and in a bad mood. Fighting-wise, do I believe he could beat the shit out of you? Yeah, I do. I believe he's got a violent streak in him. I believe he could hurt you. I believe he could be a dirty fighter, do whatever it takes. If he's got to kick you in the nuts, he'll kick you in the nuts. He'll do whatever it takes, and he won't care. Do I believe that, Kevin Owens? Yeah, I believe in that, Kevin Owens. Does his body type hurt that, Kevin Owens? No, not at all. Most guys like that are in that kind of a shape. Adds to the character. I could buy that, Kevin Owens. But if you're asking me to buy a guy that appears to be out of shape, doing somersaults in the ring, diving off the top rope, diving through the rope, doing death-defying moves because he's a great worker, if that's what you want me to believe, I sit there and say, no. Rey Mysterio, is a great worker. I saw him do a lot of that stuff. I saw AJ Styles do a lot of that stuff. For argument's sake, you guys love Kalisto. I've seen Kalisto do a lot of that stuff. And the body fits the type. That's not Kevin Owens. That I don't, when I see the body type and the type of shape this guy is in, that's not believable to me. That's not his strength. I don't think that's what's going to get him over to the casual crowd outside of the internet wrestling community that's looking at what a great worker is. What the guy at home is going to say is, why is this guy doing a somersault in the ring? I don't understand. Why doesn't he just beat the shit out of the guy? That's what they're saying at home. And Kevin Owens does look like a bully. And Kevin Owens does look like a badass. And Kevin Owens does look that his talk can back up his walk. He does look like all things. Here's the problem. He's not being portrayed that way. We don't know. His own fans don't know who he is. He's a badass. No, he's a bully. No, he's a prize fighter. No, he's a great worker. They don't know who he is. Also, the way he dresses does not help him. Everything he's wearing, you can get off the shelf at any store. I can get a t-shirt. I can get shorts. I can get kick pads. Is he an MMA fighter? Is he a shoot fighter? That's what he looks like when he comes out. So now, is he a badass? Is he a bully? Is he a prize fighter? Is he a shoot fighter? I'm confused. God, that guy sure looks like he's overweight. Does everybody understand that? Because if you don't, I don't know how to make it any more clear to you. The WWE creative is not doing their job in getting Kevin Owens over to the best of his ability to the entire casual audience. Is he over to the internet wrestling community and the 3 million people that watch Raw every week because he's a great worker? Yes. I'm interested in get the 8 million people back every Monday night. Get the 10 million people back every Monday night. Those people don't know and don't care that Kevin Owens is a great worker. They want the character. They want to understand who he is. We know who the Usos are. We know who Dean Ambrose is. We know who Seth Rollins is. We know who Bray Wyatt is. We don't know who Kevin Owens is. And the more you say he's a bully, No, he's a badass. No, he's a prize fighter. No, he's an MMA fighter. No, he's a shoot fighter. The more his fans don't know, then people at home don't have a clue. Thus, that is the problem. That is why, in my opinion, Kevin Owens is not getting over to his full capability. Is that on creative? Yes, it is. Does he have some responsibility to open up his mouth? When somebody is laying out to Kevin Owens, okay, Kevin, and then Dean Ambrose is going to throw a Pepsi and a popcorn in your face, and you're not going to do nothing. When Kevin Owens sits there and says, okay, to me, that's on Kevin Owens. Because to me, I would be saying, are you absolutely out of your mind? And let's look at what happened the last 2 weeks in a row. Last Monday, he got popcorn and soda thrown in his face, and he did absolutely nothing. What did he do this week? He went out there and he beat up 2 guys. So if he can go out there and beat up 2 guys this week, 2 top guys, why in God's name would he stand there when he's being humiliated and embarrassed and getting Coke and popcorn thrown in his face? Do you not see that? That is my point. If you still want to bombard me with your personal attacks and the irrelevancy, whatever you want to do, guys, listen, knock yourself out. Listen, I got to tell you something. I am not going to be insulted on my own Twitter feed. That's not going to happen. So, the personal attacks, get it out of your system. Get a good one in, because you're one and done. Once that's on there, it's over. If you're a wrestling fan and you want to have a legitimate discussion with me where we have different views and different opinions, I will sit there with you and I will talk to you all day long. And you can ask anybody that follows Vince Russo. I am on Twitter answering 90% of my questions. I follow a lot of those who follow me. They DM me. We have conversations like adults. I'm happy to do that. I'm building my brand. I know without the wrestling fans, there is no wrestling business. I am happy to do that. You want to start coming on there, attacking me, calling me irrelevant. I killed WCW. I killed TNA. All this childish gibberish, you're blocked. It's done. It's over. It's done with. There will never be communication again. So it's your call, man. It's absolutely your call. Me, I love to talk to people where we can agree to disagree. You tell your side of the story. I tell my side of the story. At the end of the day, am I going to agree with you? There's probably a 95% chance no, you're not going to change my mind. But I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to be upset at you. I'm not going to call you childish names. I'm going to say, okay, that's his opinion for these reasons. This is my opinion for these reasons. Let's go forward and move on. It's that simple. So you want to have conversations? I'll be happy to talk to you about wrestling all day long, psychology, characters, storyline. That's how I make a living. You want to attack me? Block, end of story. We're over and done with. So there you have it. Listen, if you watch this and you have any questions, I'm at the Vince Russo. You can reach me there on Twitter. You could ask me whatever you'd like. I'll be happy to answer each and every question. Also, every Monday After all, we do a review show, myself, Raj, and Sean. We cover the show. I'm very proud of that show. I think we're very, very fair. I think the criticism is constructive, good and bad. I appreciate the fact that these guys let me speak my opinion, and I don't have to come across as pro WWE or kissing WWE's backside like a lot of these other sites do. That's not who I am. If it's good, I'll put it over. I loved what they did with Reigns. I thought the way they followed that up, I thought this is the time to play the Vince McMahon card. I enjoyed that. On the other side of the coin, if it's something I don't like, I'll say it. But listen, that's who I am. It comes with the territory. I'm honest. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm Italian. I got a big mouth. I use hand gestures. When I feel something, I say it. Listen, I was in the hypocrisy, the politics of wrestling for way too long, where I could not speak my mind and I could not say what I really wanted to say because there were so many people that wanted my spot and wanted to bury me. And just like the internet, they'll take what I took out of context and use that against me. So a lot of times you got eyes in the back of your head. You got to worry about who you're saying or what. And it's a horrible way to live life. Once that ended for me, I said, no more. No more. When I feel a certain way, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to tell you why. You agree with me? Great. You disagree with me? Great. But I'm not holding anything back. I'm not being politically correct. I'm not looking for a job with the WWE. I'm not trying to be friends with Kevin Owens. As a professional and somebody with 25 years in the business, I'm going to tell you what I think and feel based on my opinion. Do what you want with that. But no, if it's a personal attack, I'm not going to stand for it. You want to converse with me? You want to talk with me? I'd love to do it all day long. That's your choice. That's it, everybody. You have any questions? Again, let me know at the Vince Russo on Twitter. Also, I'm on vincerussobrand.com every day of the week with video podcasting and shows, and there's a whole potpourri of things. You can follow me there. Thanks for listening. There's my psychology, the deconstructing, reconstructing of Kevin Owens. Have a great day, everybody.